Hello, all. It's Feedback Friday. And I apologize in advance for this Feedback Friday because this one's going to be infuriating. And it's going to be infuriating for a few reasons. The first reason is that it's just inherently frustrating to have to justify my own actions to fucking morons. And I'm just taking the gloves off this week because there's a certain critical point in an argument where I feel like the people attacking me are just attacking me because they think I won't fight back. And the contradictions in their arguments are so ridiculous and so obvious that I just assume they're trolling. But in this case, their trolling actually proved my point, and these little idiots and the message boards that they crawl out of to come and give me a hard time about stuff without even understanding what I'm talking about. This is the thing that drives me crazy. You little bastards, and I'm talking to a specific subset of the people who watch. So if this doesn't apply to you, if this doesn't ring true to you, I'm not talking about you right now. But you little bastards don't even understand what I'm talking about. And you come here and you criticize, and criticizing's fine. Making accusations that you don't back up, that's where I get angry. You go on your subreddits and you go on your chans, and I can tell by the way you speak, write. But there are certain tells, guys, when you spend a lot of time on Reddit and Chan. And by this point, anyone on YouTube knows who the fuck you are and knows what these tells are. So don't come to my YouTube channel and tone police me because you don't like a voice I do. Tone policing is anathema to Chan, and it's anathema to most Reddit boards. Oh, why the hell am I using a word people don't understand? Guys, it's YouTube. YouTube is first and foremost an entertainment medium. I try to provide the facts, but if it's boring, people aren't gonna watch. So yes, I'm going to do voices. Yes, I'm going to do things to give people a chuckle and make it more interesting. Because you know what? The people that aren't hypersensitive assholes realize I'm not talking about them, and they laugh. The only reason someone would get offended by what they called my opponents are idiots voice is if you think it affects you. Like, God, I don't call people out by name on this channel. I call out ideas, and some ideas are stupid ideas. And if you happen to believe in something that I think is stupid, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do about that? Your feels are not my problem. And you little channers and you subredditors say that over and over and over and over and over again. But when the shoe's on the other foot and you gotta suck it up and you gotta have a thick skin, you're the first ones to complain. And you're the first ones to complain in numbers. And I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. I don't care what particular subreddit you're a part of. It's all like that. And not everyone on every board is like that. But the boards I have seen and the boards that come here to make me miserable, because that's all you're doing with the approaches you take. You're just here to show how smart you are and to make me miserable. And you are not just not worth my time. You are not worth the time of other people who don't want comments disabled on this YouTube channel, but don't want to have to see your spew because it adds nothing. Nothing. Not a thing. Why does it add not a thing? Well, this is where I come into the other difficulty of this Feedback Friday and why I'm so damn frustrated today. I'm frustrated because I am in a bind between presenting the best argument and actually showing examples of the dumb shit people are saying But then unfortunately some people, and they were not the bad comments. I just can't isolate the annoying comments without showing certain comments that mention certain people's names who have certain minions who scour the internet for people talking about those people and freak out and cause more trouble than they're worth. And I will not legitimize those people by talking about them. There is a reason I don't talk about certain people or don't talk about them much on this channel. First of all, it's very difficult to avoid heavy identity politics when you discuss feminism, but I do my best to do it. I examine ideas and not people. But some people make it exceptionally difficult because every time they're brought up, it's like Beetlejuice. You say their name 3 times and they appear. So some people, you bring them up, immediately a conversation becomes about them. And I don't want that. These issues are important. These concepts are important. Some flash in the pan stooge for some radical wing of any movement is not someone I am going to spend my time on. And this makes it difficult because one of the things I was repeatedly accused of, other than people disliking a particular tone of voice, which is the definition of a tone argument, one thing I got accused of is a straw man argument. And I'm going to pull up straw man argument right here. That I misrepresented someone's argument to make it easier to attack. The funny thing is that these people accused, and 4 or 5 people did it before I stopped reading the comments because it got to the point that they started talking with each other and I couldn't even understand what they were saying. But the problem with this is that they isolated an 18-minute chunk of video where the straw man argument was contained, but didn't actually identify the alleged straw man argument, thereby creating a straw man argument of their own. I have no idea what they take issue with. I can't easily identify and either explain or admit, okay, maybe that wasn't the best argument. But so basically, they misrepresented my argument to make it easier to attack because there is no straw man argument in the first 18 minutes of that video. The only thing that I can identify as people thinking is a straw man argument, the only thing I did not show, and I kind of did, it's just somebody didn't bother to actually read the article, one of the articles from Forbes I put up. But the only thing I don't have, a specific headline for, not body of the text, but headline, is the assertion that some people still think that women are naturally less good at math and science, or their aptitudes are not as strong as men's in those fields. That's the only thing that seems even remotely up for straw man argument. Now, I didn't provide examples for that for 2 reasons. One is that I thought it was pretty much common knowledge that this was something, it was one of those things that, calling out individual people doesn't do a lot of good because it's not the fault of the individual people. This is an issue that is so widespread that there was a math is hard Barbie doll that got pulled. And maybe this is because I'm a little older than the people who watch this YouTube channel. Maybe. And maybe it's lessened to the point that people are not as aware of it. But I constantly get called things like a mythical creature, a rainbow, a unicorn, whatever, because I happen to like video games and know a lot about them. And that's said as a compliment, but it's still singling me out as something strange. And I take it as the compliment that it's intended, but it is a bit of a problem that people have this idea that women naturally don't like video games. They naturally don't like tech. Or as one commenter said, it's not that they're not good at engineering, they just find it boring. That's still a generalization, folks, that you have to prove. And this is the problem, that people are accusing me of a straw man argument, meaning I didn't prove my case, Well, it doesn't even mean I proved my case. That's not a strongman argument. It means I deliberately misrepresented someone's argument. You have to prove that, folks. You have to prove that. Or you're just being an annoying little troll. And the problem with this, you see it right on the screen. If you can bother to fucking read, you lazy sons of bitches. This kind of dishonesty serves to undermine honest, rational debate. So A2, straw man. A2, you little idiots that come to my YouTube channel because you've already discussed it on whatever little dark corner of the internet you come from. And I sense this because of how quickly the comments come in and how similar they are. For people saying, oh, it's awkward to begin a conversation on the internet by agreeing, which is what I've been told. And yeah, that's the voice you don't like. Deal! It's my YouTube channel. You can't go picking on people every single day on your message boards. You cannot tear people apart for fun. And yes, it's fun, or you wouldn't keep going back day after day. But you can't do that and then complain that you don't like a tone of voice I use to discuss a mindset or an idea. I'm not saying, this is George from down the block, isn't he a moron? I'm not making fun of any individual person, you little twits. I'm making it more entertaining for the people who listen and have an open mind and are prepared to sit through 45-minute videos because they're not boring. You have to mix it up. And you little idiots come here with your thin skins and your outrage and think it should be all about you and your comfort and your feelings. Well, it's not. There are bigger issues at play here. And I am perfectly allowed, for lack of a better term. It is totally my right to think an idea is stupid. It's not in my philosophy to think a person is stupid because they have an idea that I disagree with. But some ideas are just stupid. They are based entirely on a knee-jerk reaction and not based in fact. And if somebody thought about it for 5 seconds before they commented, well, they'd realize that. And accusing someone of a straw man without identifying the straw man is a straw man. It's easy to spend 15 comments yelling at somebody when you don't identify what your problem is, isn't it? Which is misrepresenting someone's argument to make it easier to attack. You are hypocrites. The people I'm yelling at right now, you are hypocrites. And because of that, you are not adding a single shred of something useful to the debate. And I can say that with certainty because your tactics are faulty. Don't just come and attack someone without establishing what you take issue with. Because if the minute you don't do that, you are attacking the person instead of attacking the topic. If you have issue with something I say, isolate it and we can talk about it. But if you don't identify, expecting me to figure out what the hell you're talking about in an 18-minute span of video, well, I talked about 4 different things in that point. How am I supposed to know? I'm not supposed to know. You want to make me easier to attack. You are hypocrites. And normally I'm more prosaic about things than this, but I'm tired of this. And I am specifically tired about it because what was the topic of this video? We need better dialogue about women in tech. Better dialogue. And you little shits come here and shit up my comment section with garbage. And then somebody will go off and make a video made of garbage. And then someone will write an article made of garbage. And then that garbage gets to a certain critical mass where it starts to stink. And then people like me and people like Sargon of Akkad and people like Total Biscuit, suddenly we have to deal with that garbage because it's stinking up our neighborhood. And we didn't cause this. Nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes, but making a mistake is different than deliberately misrepresenting someone's argument. You need some sort of evidence to back up an accusation like that, or you are no better than the unethical pieces of crap that you claim to oppose. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about ethics, and ethics is hard. Okay? It's really easy to say, we want better ethics, but nobody is going to listen to you if you do not behave ethically yourself, because then you will never be satisfied. If you can't recognize strong ethics when you see them, how are we supposed to make you the judges of what is ethical and not ethical on the internet? And we get all these things, well, I'm not a journalist. Well, that doesn't matter. You're judging journalists. The reason judges should be lawyers before they become judges is so they know what it's like. And if you can't show that you understand basic human ethics, never mind a more complicated subset of what is good and what is bad, like journalistic ethics or medical ethics or legal ethics that exist for certain reasons underpinning all of it, and are not, in the case of journalistic ethics, hard and fast rules, but guidelines based on a few fundamental principles, which are in essence, to be very, very simple here. It means you're supposed to report the news, not ruin people's lives because you can. That is the underpinning of all journalistic ethics. I will completely agree that in the grand scheme of things, that has been lost. Too many stories become scandals that really are private matters and have nothing to do with consumer protections or the public's right to know. And that bothers me. It bothers me when a game gets trounced before it's even out because, for instance, it has no female playable characters. Well, maybe there's a good reason for that, in the case of Assassin's Creed Unity. And it's really unfortunate that Unity had such a rough start in terms of the bugs and in terms of the performance issues, because otherwise it would have been a real thing of, look, here's a company that created something exceptionally artistic. And in order to make that artistry make sense, Ubisoft had to forego female playable characters, because the idea of the game is that you are a person at home being co-opted into this, this scheme by the Templars to do their research for them. They took the game franchise from you playing a researcher at Abstergo in first person and jumped it to you're actually sitting in your living room playing this game as an active participant. They've made you sitting on the couch part of the game, and I thought that was brilliant. And it's like, that means, you don't have to have a silent protagonist, or you don't have to have a voice that throws off either men or women because it doesn't sound like them, or record two different voices. No, you've actually made the player part of the experience, to the point that even turning off the game and going about your life is part of the experience. They made it seamless. But the only way to do that was to have Arnaud, who, is a guy. The whole point of the program is that you were researching Arnaud. So yeah, everyone's playing Arnaud, and because the multiplayer was incorporated into the rest of the game, because the whole idea was unity of experience, hence the name of the blinking game, that, no, there isn't going to be female playable characters, because that wouldn't make any sense within the narrative. But you, as a player, as a protagonist, because don't forget, in the Assassin's Creed reality, Arnaud is hundreds of years dead by the point you pick up the controller. The actual protagonist in, and this happened in Assassin's Creed 4 as well, the minute they killed off, spoiler, don't listen for 5 seconds, the minute they killed off Desmond Miles and made this generic Abstergo employee or generic person at home using the system, well, all of a sudden, you're the hero of this story. You are the modern day person that matters. And that's very important when you look at the structure of the game. And unfortunately, we couldn't have this debate and go, hey, all you outragists, instead of suffragists, we'll call them outragists. All you outragists were wrong. There was nothing sexist about this game. It was completely structural. And you caused a company a lot of unfair crap because you knee-jerked and just assumed there was absolutely no valid reason for this creative choice. You don't know that until, until you play it. And it's one thing to say, I'm not interested in this game, I'm not going to buy it. If you don't find it fun to not play as a woman, no one can really force you to find something else fun. So fine, that's your bag. Don't buy it. But don't create this de facto boycott campaign and tell other people not to buy it, sight unseen. Games are art and games are games. And there are certain, basic understandings that you don't want to deliberately just be an idiot and offend people, because that is in of itself a political motivation. To create something that is deliberately offensive is an ideological motivation. You are making a point about free speech or whatever your point is. Deliberately offending people is a conscious act. But not knowing, putting something in there that may be challenging, but the intent is not to offend the player base, well, that's something very different, and that's something that artists need the freedom to do. And not everything is going to be everyone's cup of tea. That's just a given. And there are some things just, because of your own personal experiences. For instance, I am tired of zombie games. I am tired. I used to love them, and I'll probably love them again, but I am sick of them. For some odd reason, I'm not sick of pirates yet. Personal preference doesn't mean there's anything wrong with a zombie game, right? But I think I've sort of made my general point, but now what I have to do is prove that my statement that we still have issues about people thinking that women are naturally less adept in math and science than men are, because some people said by no one ever. Well, that's just not true. First of all, but also it was said by someone relatively recently and someone fairly high ranking. And the reason I don't want to go into this is because then people start to pick apart the examples. And what I want to be clear here is this is not an isolated incident. This is a single example. Okay, just one of how someone may not even have intended to say what they said. And yet, I'm not saying this person is a bad person. I'm just saying they have some weird, unscientific ideas, and they thought it was okay to hypothesize in a very public sphere about this issue and caught crap for it, but ended up landing on their feet. I'm referring, of course, to Lawrence Summers, who, check out this guy's resume, okay? President of Harvard University, Secretary of the Treasury of the United States, Chief Economist of the World Bank. Now, I know this is Wikipedia. I apologize, guys, but I tried to look at other articles, and they're all archive Wayback Machine things. This issue has been buried, which is very interesting to me. Again, he was president of Harvard until 2006. So that's fairly recent, okay? These attitudes would have affected people growing up and working in the industry now. That's my point, okay? Yes, it's a 10-year-old statement, but the point is, what ideas hit people, because they find that math and science and scores are identical. Aptitudes are identical. So that the nature element of it, inherent aptitudes, are the same until the age of 7. And then cultural forces start diverging aptitudes and interests in boys and girls. And what we're finding is that the brain, even brain chemistry, brain wiring, is plastic. And so your lived experiences actually rewire your brain. It's fascinating. It basically, neuroscience took on the nature versus nurture debate and realized there is no firm distinction between nature versus nurture. The brain rewires, which we consider nature, based on life experiences, which is nurture. Fascinating stuff. But here's what Summers said. See, there's a whole thing. President of Harvard, differences between the sexes. Now, this wasn't the only thing that got Summers ousted from Harvard. A lot of people say it was. No, he did some other contentious things. Okay. But what happened is in 2005, he made comments which he himself said were guesses. Okay. He had nothing to back it up. But he started talking about why women may have been underrepresented in tenured positions in science and engineering at top universities and research institutions. Now, the president of Harvard guessing at that should have been the first warning bell. You know, all he can speak to is his own personal opinion, correct? And that's sure what he did. But he did it in a way that he attempted to couch in rationality, except he actually didn't have anything to back it up. Now, he also specifically said that his remarks were intended to be an attempt at provocation. Now, I don't know why he claimed that was entirely positive. Those two things are at odds, but we know his intent. And so he basically said there's 3 hypotheses for the higher proportion of men in high-end science and engineering positions. High-powered job hypothesis, the difference of availability and aptitude at the high end, and different socializations and patterns of discrimination in a search. And what he basically said, I'm going to scroll down here, was the largest phenomenon by far is the general class between people's legitimate family desires, oh God, and employers' current desire for high power and high intensity. So he's already basically saying that men don't care about family as much as women. Oh, good God, Lord Summers! I'm sure he regrets this, okay? In the special case of science and engineering, there are issues of intrinsic aptitude, which science has disproven, by the way, and particularity of the variability of aptitude. And that those considerations are reinforced by what are in fact lesser factors involving socialization and continuing discrimination. So guys, men not being interested in their families is normal according to the president of Harvard in 2005. Take that up with him. And then he says at the end, he tries to couch this deliberately contentious statement. I would like nothing better than to be proved wrong. Well, congratulations, because you have been. Because I would like nothing better than for these problems to be addressable simply by everybody understanding what they are and working very hard to address them. And then he went on to talk about approaches to remedying the shortage of women in high-end science and engineering positions. Well, if we're not actually interested in it, then you're not going to attract people to the jobs no matter what. He was talking out both sides of his mouth. No wonder he ended up in politics. And as you see, he apologized repeatedly. But it did contribute to his resigning his position as president. And it pissed off a lot of people when Obama appointed him shortly thereafter as Treasury Secretary. Because you're supposed to represent all peoples. Now, he's obviously mentored women, and, Sheryl Sandberg has said he's been an advocate, and, okay, he can't. Yeah, this is all exactly right. What Sheryl Sandberg is saying is exactly right. At least he tried to talk about it. But this was my initial point. We need better dialogue about women in tech. than what we've been getting, even by the president of Harvard. You don't start off a conversation of this sort deliberately intending to provoke. You're not gonna get. He provoked, all right. He provoked his way partially out of a job. And this is what I was saying. We need to step beyond this. Here's my opinion. I'd like to be proven wrong. Women just like to have them babies and men don't care as much. And yeah, again, he's being deliberately provocative, but the underlying assumption was insulting to men as much as anything. I mean, every guy I know who works ridiculous hours every week and has kids hates it. He hates being away from his kids that much. He doesn't do it because he wants to. He does it because society dictates he has to. And 80-hour work weeks are ridiculous for anybody. They're not necessary. They don't benefit the employee. They benefit whatever corporation or institution that employee works for, because they can pay one person a wage and make them work the job of two people. A work week is supposed to be 40 hours. And that number just wasn't pulled out of a hat. It's what the ideal number of working hours a week is, and people are pulling double that. And yeah, they make a ton of money, but people who go through for expensive masters and PhDs in very expensive fields, engineering is an expensive degree, they expect to be paid well. So paying one person and making them work 80 hours a week is still more cost effective for the company than hiring two people and making them work 40 hours a week, paying them the salaries that make that degree and the cost of that degree make sense. And this is the problem. These institutions and these corporations are exploiting all workers, male and female alike, through these assumptions. And whoever thought that working 80 hours a week for anybody was healthy, right? It's not. And everybody knows it's not, but you get, what choice do I have? And that's accurate. Well, the board of the company does have a choice. They're choosing to make people work 80-hour weeks. So, if those of you who accused me of a straw man still think that no one ever said that there are natural aptitudes or interests that go into women not choosing careers in science. And the silly thing is that I have said over and over and over again, my own experiences were the biggest impediment to me was the late hours on an unsafe campus, and then having to travel home alone I started university at 17 because I started at 17, I turned 18 because I was a grade ahead. So I'm one of the, and I did all the, those math tests, the Pascal, maybe they don't have these. I think they're international, but they're named after famous mathematicians, and there's one per year. I did that all through school. But the problem is I was pulling, 80s in maths and sciences. I was pulling 90s in things like history and languages and social, the social sciences, things like that. And so when you look at the report cards, it's like, well, I need a 92 average to, go forward and get a scholarship in something, because I can't afford to go to school any other way without crushing debt. It doesn't make sense for me to take on debt for something because I'm pulling a 90, a 91. My grades in math and science always sort of fluctuated between like an 89 and a 93. And when I got a 78 once in grade 11 because it was a bad year and I was crushed. Okay. So clearly I was pretty good at math and science. I wasn't good enough to get the financial, not assistance, rewards. That's the word I'm looking for. The financial rewards that I could get in other things. So I made the logical choice. Go where you're not going to finish school with a crushing amount of debt. And then I eventually realized that the stuff I was going into school for. I didn't really need a degree. The frustrating thing about media for me is that a lot of these companies require a bachelor degree for something that does not actually require a bachelor degree. By the time you have finished a semester course in media, the equipment you've been working on is already somewhat obsolete. The next wave of stuff has been coming out, and you can teach the basics. But the reality is you can teach media as a 2-year certificate program, easy. And then you got to go out and you got to volunteer and you got to work for free and you have to learn what it's like in the real world. There is no need for people to be in school for 4 years for media, for broadcasting, for radio and television, even for film, because film's not shot on film anymore. The problem with film used to be that it was tricky. The actual film stock was difficult to work with. And you're not going to be doing directing your first day. So you don't have to worry about that stuff. Learn on the job. But no, everything, you go to apply for a job, bachelor degree. You don't need a bachelor degree. And, the bulk of my experience has been creating my own jobs or just coming in with such a unique skill that I get hired based on that. And that's media in a nutshell. So, but that's the thing, right? It's what I was talking about in the original video, that girls are not socialized, and it's not even socialized. It's internal mental training. The Rachel Maddow. Oh God, no. Rachel Simmons talks about in her book Odd Girl Out, ODD, that the worst thing when she was studying grade 8 girls, the worst thing you could be was all that, thinking you're all that. Confidence in middle school was punished in her studies by other girls. And why is that? Because of the characteristics associated with being feminine, that pack mentality, that the most important thing a girl can be is nice and polite and considerate. And the minute you step out of that, you're showing hubris, essentially. And then you have all these people coming at you trying to tear you down. And the thing about, if enough people want to tear you down, they will tear you down. And that is something I've learned over and over and over again in my experiences. If you hit a certain critical mass where you cannot fight the world, and without active support, you will go down. And we're seeing that over and over and over again. We're seeing that with, PewDiePie disabling his comments and Total Biscuit getting both, physically and emotionally compromised because, the guy works like a dog. And people hate on him. I've been defending Total Biscuit for months now. I think that the attacks against him have been absolutely deplorable to the point that I don't know how these people sleep at night. Okay. But people on, the other side, for lack of a better term, and this is more like a diamond, it has facets as opposed to sides. And that's what makes it so messy, is that this whole thing isn't, the OK Corral with two sides shooting at each other. This is a free-for-all. This is like a circular thing where everybody's shooting at everybody, and the crossfire is incredible. And so once again, I will repeat, we need better dialogue about these issues. And we need better dialogue about how to treat people in general. But the problem is that our way of treating people, especially on the internet, but it's everywhere. It's in TV and it's in colleges and it's in high schools. Our ideas about what strength is and what kindness is are rooted in false gendered assumptions that we have to recognize so that they don't control us. The idea that strength is better than compassion because compassion is weakness. is rooted in this idea that strength, masculine, compassion, feminine, and nobody wants to play like a girl, right? You can deny it all you want, but otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Human beings are social beings. Compassion will make us stronger. To me, compassion is strength. But that's not a very popular attitude on the internet. Everybody's running so scared. And everybody is so convinced that nastiness is the natural order of things that people perpetuate it instead of stopping and going, no, I'm not going to be a part of that. And then, the people that are like, well, it's the internet, come and criticize me for doing a voice on an idea that, yes, I think is stupid. I think that the opinions expressed by commenters on my YouTube channel are sometimes exceptionally idiotic. And I have the right to make that judgment as a thinking, logical human being. And if you don't like it, that's your problem. Go back and get a better argument. Because don't tell me that it's about merit. Don't tell me that it's about the best people who rose to the top. Well, I've gone out and I've gotten jobs with major media companies. So obviously I have some merit. What have you done? Anonymous commenter on the internet. So if it's about merit, I have proven my merit. I have taken the opportunities and I've done the hard work and I've done the pitches and I've done the development and I've done the applications. And every so often I get hired. What have you done? So who the hell are you to come to me and tell me that I should essentially be nicer to you? I'm nice to people who have shown an ability to be compassionate and logical and thinking and fair people. I am not a chump. And if you assume that about me, if you think I'm here to just pet your head and make you feel good for 45 minutes a day, guess what? There are self-help speakers who charge a lot of money for that service. You pay to get validation for your own personal little feels. You don't come to a YouTube channel probably using ad block or you skip the ad and expect to be personally affirmed. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to bring some sanity and some sense back into the discussion of the intersection point of gender norms and technology. I'm here to look at where there are real issues that need addressing, because there always are. There always are issues. And if I feel like it's swinging back like I did, where it's like, oh, men just aren't naturally interested in family concern. No, that's bullshit. And I'm going to call bullshit on that. And that's what I'm here to do. And I don't like hurting people's feelings, but unfortunately there are some people with some backward attitudes who are going to be offended with some of the things I say. And the problem is, too many people on the internet, they disagree with something, they immediately reach for that dislike button. Well, disagreement and dislike aren't the same thing. And I love it when someone says something that I personally disagree with, but they make me think. I enjoy that. So I do not understand these people who comment and say, I dislike this video because I disagree. Well, why the fuck are you even watching opinion-oriented YouTube videos then? To just verify and validate your own preconceived opinions? That's called an echo chamber, folks. And that's not what I'm here for. So yeah, I'm irritated. I'm pissed off today because I'm tired of this cycle. I'm tired of this nonsense. I'm tired of people claiming to be for free speech and then doing everything they can to undermine it through strength in numbers. I'm tired of that. We don't have a free speech paradigm. We don't. The best ideas don't get brought forward. The best ideas don't rise to the top. The most popular ideas do. And what do popular ideas do? Reinforce the status quo. Those aren't the best ideas. That's not innovation. Innovation changes things. So if we want true innovation, we have to get better at handling unpopular ideas. And anything with a like or a dislike button is not the way to do it. Because what's the first thing people look for? How many people liked, or how many people upvoted, or how many people downvoted? That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant because most people wouldn't know a well-argued case if it smacked them in the face. And that's what's got to change. Better dialogue, better critical thinking. These skills can be learned. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for those who get it. And thanks for those who understand that if you're not doing the stupid things, I wasn't talking about you. And if you were doing the stupid things, you have two choices. Get offended and leave another nasty comment that ain't gonna do shit. Or get better. Get good. Isn't that what it's about?